Melanie Sloan is with us with CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Government. Citizensforethics.org is the website. And Melanie, welcome to the program.
Oh, nice to be back with you.
Great to have you back with us, Melanie. The good citizens, or at least the good Republican citizens of Delaware, have decided to make their nominee for Joe Biden's old seat in the United States Senate a certain Christine O'Donnell. And there's all these weird stories about her position on masturbation and her thinking that that scientists had successfully cloned a functioning human brain into a mouse, and saying that she was a witch and all this kind of stuff. And all that's kind of the sideshow, but you're calling her out as an actual criminal.
Yeah. She's a crook. She's been stealing her campaign funds for years and converting them to personal use. I guess that's what happens when you don't actually have a job and you have no other income and you're sitting on a pot of money that's campaign funds. You're the only person who has access to that money because every treasurer you've had has quit, and so you have actually no oversight and you're out of money. And so just like somebody else who gets into trouble with their own finances and has the company credit card, Ms. O'Donnell stole from her company, which is her campaign.
Wow. And
it's not once or twice. It's repeatedly. It's a pattern and practice of stealing from her campaign to support her lifestyle.
Bill Maher made a joke the other day that, the Republicans have finally found, and I'm paraphrasing from memory, so I'm sure this isn't exactly how he said it. He's far more elegant than I with comedy, but basically that Christine O'Donnell is jobless and homeless. O'Donnell is jobless and homeless, and so she's finally the Republicans have found a representative of the average American to run for Congress. But I mean, is that really what's been going on? This woman has no job, and so she's been, and how long has she been running for office? You said for years. I mean, I thought
she ran in 2006, 2008, and 2010. So her arguments that she's a political novice, by the way, fall on deaf ears, given it's her third campaign.
Mm-hmm. And in each one of these campaigns, you're suggesting that she was committing federal crimes?
I haven't looked through the 2006 campaign records, but certainly in 2008 she was, and in 2010 she has been.
Now, didn't her Republican opponent in this primary point this out?
He did, because Ms. O'Donnell's former campaign manager started making robocalls on his behalf, talking about how Ms. O'Donnell stole from her campaign to fund her lifestyle, and how she didn't even pay her campaign workers while she was busy stealing that money.
Whoa. And so you're charging her with federal crimes. Have you found any prosecutors who are interested?
It's really hard to say. We filed a complaint with the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, and I have a hard time imagining that they could ignore this. Her crimes are so blatant, and anybody can look at her campaign finance reports that she filed with the FEC and had to sign herself again because she had no treasurer, and they can see the number of expenses she has, where she goes bowling and charges it to her campaign, where she buys gas to go to New Jersey, where her parents live. I mean, most of the expenses Christine O'Donnell has, and by the way, these are in 2009 when she didn't even have a campaign. She wasn't even running for anything, and she's just spending up on her campaign funds. Isn't
it possible, isn't it legal for somebody, my understanding was that some of these members of Congress are still accumulating campaign contributions because after they retire from Congress, they can roll that campaign contribution money into their own pocket somehow.
No, you cannot. Years and years ago, you did used to be able to keep that money, and then the Congress changed the law.
Then why is Chris Dodd still fundraising?
Chris Dodd may still, I'm not sure why Chris Dodd's still fundraising, but he could give that money to other candidates.
So you get to be a kingmaker.
There are legal uses for that money, but none of those uses ever permit a candidate to pocket the money.
So you can become a kingmaker, and especially if you want to retire and become a lobbyist, that gives you a lot of juice.
It does give you a lot of juice, but certainly there's no excuse for using the money to, say, pay your rent.
Right, and Christine O'Donnell has been doing this now. I'm wondering if you filed this complaint with the U.S. Attorney in Delaware. The Obama administration, unlike the previous 5 or 6 presidential administrations, did not ask for the immediate resignation of all, 100 U.S. attorneys?
I think it's 95. But,
95? They didn't ask for the resignation of all of them. Is this guy or woman, is this U.S. attorney one of the Bush appointees, or is this new?
He is. He's a Bush holdover. His name's David Weiss. He's been there for many years.
Well, that might explain why he's not all that interested in going after a Republican.
I'm sure that this close to an election, you would have either side would be hesitant about targeting a Senate candidate.
Sure.
But that's why you take a job at the Department of Justice. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions, and if a criminal shows himself to be a candidate for U.S. Senate, you can't ignore that.
Do you think that it seems to me we're talking with Melanie Sloan. She's the executive director of Citizens for Ethics and Responsibility in Washington, CREW, CREW. Citizensforethics.org is the website. It seems to me that the Tea Party, there are so many candidates now. There are several that are like wholly owned by Koch Industries, for example, or it's just some of their resumes are so slim or so weird even, and yet the Republicans are coming out in droves for them. And the Tea Party, it's almost like they don't care if it's a criminal. In the minute that we have left, Melanie, can you comment on this bizarre political landscape that we have?
It is really hard for me to fathom, but it is astonishing when people across the country are so concerned about the honesty and integrity of their public officials, and they think they're just catering to special interests, that then they would go ahead and nominate someone who is the antithesis of honesty and integrity, who's been outright stealing, is just a crook. And
right.
So I can't imagine why any American would want to see somebody who's been stealing from unsuspecting campaign supporters would want to see that kind of person elected to the United States Senate. Yeah,
well, hopefully our listeners in Delaware will pass the word along. But like I said, the Republican candidate in the primary was already yelling about this in campaign commercials, and it seems not to have stuck.
Delaware is a small state without its own television station, and it may well have been that Mr. Castle's message just didn't get out. He certainly was a man of honesty and integrity.
Yeah, he was actually. It's
or
amazing.
Is, he's not dead.
Yeah, there you go. As a politician, he was. Well,
right.
He's still. Yeah. Melanie Sloan, citizensforethics.org is the website for CREW, and good on you, Melanie. If you hear from the federal prosecutor, will you let us know right away?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Melanie Sloan. Check out citizensforethics.org. For more on this and other topics, please visit thomhartmann.com.